Today, Samyang have announced the new 35mm f1.4 P FE lens, and it's the new Prima set of lenses which are designed to be a lot lighter weight. Now, they have actually sent me this lens a little earlier, and I've done a number of shoots with it just to kind of put it through its paces and see what we can get out of it. Of course, this does actually fall in at lower price than a lot of the other competition at the moment, supposedly having high enough quality there to match the other lenses that you would possibly look at within this price range. Anyway, let's get into it. I'm going to be shooting both some music stuff and then also going out with one of my friends from the Central Club podcast, film a little ad spot. What is really cool is that we actually ended up going to a very popular location, a very famous location, if you will. But I'll let Stuart talk about that. Alright, so I'm down here at Apple Camping today with Central Club podcast, just doing a little bit of like an ad kind of shoot. I thought it'd be a great opportunity to really try out the 35mm Samyang, which is due to be released next week. And, you know, just shoot some really cool stuff around this absolutely awesome place. You may have actually seen it on YouTube channels like Ryan Trahan, and I think even Joe Rogan mentioned it recently, which is absolutely awesome. It's a really cool place. If you're looking to stay somewhere near Tenby, then Apple Camping is a great opportunity for you. For this entire shoot, I was using the Sony A1, mainly because it has the ability to shoot 8K and has good autofocus, so it gave me the chance to really test out the 35 in a lot of different retrospects. I did take some images whilst I was at Apple Camping, as it's an incredibly awesome site. It has planes, UFOs, and a lot of other things in between. Really awesome place. First things first, let's talk about the autofocus performance. When moving along with my subject, it worked pretty well. There were times where it just hunted and just couldn't seem to find the subject, so I did have to repeat the scenes in which it kind of ended up working out better. This is something that's not ideal, but it's not always going to be something that affects your shooting, and for the price point in which it is at, I think it's, you know, it's a pretty good autofocus. It's not the best by far, but it does perform relatively well.
Okay, so we've got two aeroplanes, right? We've got one totally authentic. Come have a look.
Getting a chance to test out the lenses a little bit more, we moved into one of the plane environments. I took a photo of Cullen on the seats just next to a window with nice natural light, gave kind of like a really nice portrait. What I wanted to do here was check to see how good it was once zoomed in a little bit. As you can tell, it's pretty good quality. Moving on now to the shoot that I did with the musician. It was just a photo shoot for an album cover down Barbados. It was a lot of fun. Again, in lower light situations you can get a much better exposure. Because we were shooting at night, it gave me a good chance to really check out the Bokeh with the lights of some of the arcades down Barry. Really nice Bokeh, all in all, quite cylindrical, and, you know, the background defocus is really quite nice. Only thing to mention here, and this is just me being honest, is the lens isn't necessarily the sharpest there is out there. However, what I would say to that is, with the price point, with where it sets itself in the market, it's not going to be G Master level sharp or Sigma level sharp. That's something that you would have to purchase yourself. Biggest significant difference with this lens compared to a lot of the other 35 1.4s on the market is that this is actually the lightest that I could find, with this primer being 470 grams. We come to the Sony next at 225 grams, the Sigma at 650, and then the Samyang AF at 659. The original manual focus variant is 735 grams, so in a lot of ways this is a really nice lightweight 35 prime. And this is something to really consider when looking to buy a lens, is how is it going to fit into your camera bag? Is it going to weigh you down when you use it? And in that retrospect, the Samyang Prima actually wins the day. Moving on now over to price comparison, reading from left to right. What you've got there is the original Samyang AF at £495.20, the Sony at £1,429, the Prima at £529, the Sigma at £769, and then the Samyang manual focus original 35 from Samyang, £359. Last thing to mention before we get onto the conclusion is the fact there is a significant sense of moire on the side of the images. As we zoom in, as you can see, there's a lot of that blue kind of like tinge. Again, with the price point of the lens, you know, it's not something which it would be nice not to have, right? But it's not something that completely puts me against this lens. You've got a lens here that is the lightest 35mm 1.4 on the market at the moment. Granted, that means it's taken a lot out of the lens, such as the manual focus switches and all the other little bits and pieces you don't necessarily need. But it's nice and small, it's lightweight, it's not the cheapest on the market, but it's also not the expensive. When you look at Sony, you're spending over £1,000 for what is equivalent to this, and yes, it's going to be sharper, and at that price, I hope it's going to be sharper. But this does the job, and it does it pretty well. And if you are looking for a prime, a 35mm like this is absolutely perfect. And there's not really much kind of like to this lens in terms of like the ergonomics, and it really isn't. You know, you got your focus ring here, great. You got a nice little hidden red ring in and around the side there. And then, as with most Samyang lenses, you actually have the USB-C. When it comes to Samyang, though, and at the moment, I genuinely would mark them as the company to watch. It's going to be interesting to see what they do with this Prima series, because this is the first in the Prima series. And as it goes along, see where it goes to next, essentially. Ultimately, if you're looking at a Prime and you don't want to spend too much money overall, this is an absolute steal, and I think you'll be very happy with it. Anyway, what do you think? Let me know down below. I hope you enjoyed this video, and ultimately, just have a good day. I'll be interested to see you next time, where I fight a bear. Maybe, I don't know.